So today we are going to talk about an apple's journey. If you haven't already, make sure that you printed off the activity sheets that go along with today's lesson. If you haven't yet, no big deal. Just go ahead and pause the video, go ahead and print them off, and then come back. If you've already printed, the first thing you'll see is a couple sheets of images. You want to make sure that you cut these apart because we're going to be using these as sorting cards to be able to walk through today's activity, modeling first the life cycle of an apple and then what happens when a farmer actually takes his apples to a store and where those apples end up after they come home to you. Okay? If you haven't yet, go ahead and cut these apart. You can just pause the video. If you've already cut them out, we can keep moving. I have mine cut. I actually use these activities, these cards a lot. So I've actually backed them on old cereal boxes and cracker boxes. So if you want to use this activity multiple times, it might not be a bad idea. Instead of laminating, just glue your cards on pieces of cardboard that you already have at the house. You can see, like I said, mine are crackers and a cereal box. Okay, so let's get started with our life cycle of an apple activity. I'm going to walk you through this first scenario. And as we go through, I'll hold up the card as you arrange them, okay? This is a cycle, so like all cycles, make your cards in a circular fashion, okay? So the first one, it says an apple stands in an orchard. You should find this card, and this will be at the top of our circle. In the springtime, the tree blossoms. Once pollinated, the blossoms fall off, and each blossom's place, there'll be an apple. Once the apples ripen, they become too heavy for the tree, and they fall to the ground. A passing deer takes a bite of the apple. A worm eats the apple core. The remaining core breaks down into the soil, and the remaining nutrients from that apple core nourish the soil surrounding the tree, helping it to bloom again in the spring. So notice, we're talking about it blooming again in the spring, so coming back to the beginning of our cycle. So that's our first sorting activity. Make sure you take a picture of how you've arranged your cards from start to finish in a circular fashion. Now I'm going to give you a different scenario. This scenario involves, instead of the apples falling from the tree onto the ground, the farmer picking the apples. And you get to determine how the story ends. There's two different scenarios that you can use with your cards. Okay, so first, we'll start again. Arrange the cards like you would the first time in a circular fashion, and we'll walk through the process. So first, we have an apple stands in an orchard. In the spring, the tree blossoms. Once pollinated, the blossoms fall off, and in each blossom's place, an apple appears. Once the apples ripen, a farmer picks the apples. This is different from our first scenario. So find the card where the farmer is picking the apples. The farmer then ships the apples to a grocery store. A woman purchases the apples. Then the woman drives home with the apples. Once home, the woman's child eats the apple. Here's where you get to finish the ending of the story. There are two possible scenarios. One, when the child who just ate his apple throws it into the trash. The other, when the child who just ate his apple throws it into the compost. I want you to complete each one of those scenarios using your remaining cards. You'll need 3 cards per scenario. When you've got those cards organized from the beginning all the way through your ending for when the apple goes into the trash or when the apple goes into the compost, take a picture of each scenario. If you have any questions, let me know. Have fun sorting your apple activity cards.